We're in very rarefied air. Women with normal jobs are in very different situations than us. So I sort of feel very out of touch or arrogant even to talk about my fight for my pay, because I was in a very specific situation where I had a very real number. I had seen that Grey's Anatomy had grossed $3.7 billion over 15 years. And I could take that very real number and attribute my face and my voice. My hairdresser of 12 years, Thursday, in tears, walked off set because she did not feel like she was being compensated fairly for us shooting 3 episodes at one time, and she's only being paid to do 1 episode. Even though we struggle in our industries, we're struggling a lot less than, let's say, people who are working normal jobs.
I get so petrified in this space talking about equal pay, especially when you look at the intersectional aspect of it, right? Where white women get paid more than black women, and black women get paid more than Asian women get paid more than Latino women. And it's like a very scary space to step into, because I always feel like I fail when I speak about it, because I can't help but feel already so gracious to do what I do. And I feel like culturally, I was raised to just feel so appreciative of getting here. Recently being faced with being offered a project where my fellow actress was offered it prior, and she tells me how much she was getting paid for it. And then I ask for the same amount, and they say no, because you're not worth that much, as she was, because she's bigger than I am. But it's the same job, it's the same amount of hours, the same movie.
And bigger by what standard? Let's keep it all the way 100.
But that's
like
what
bigger
I'm
by what
saying.
standard, and who determined that standard?
You know?
Because let's be like, I'm gonna brag on you for a second. You're the only show on a whole ass network where your show has had critical acclaim. You've been not only nominated, you've won. Yeah. So on worth by whose standards? You know what I mean? If you want to go by social media, you're killing that. You want to go by who can't walk down the street and without being recognized and loved by all different kinds of people, that's you too. So worth based on what?
Who decides who's a bigger star than other people? Who moves the needle more than others? I mean, they have Q ratings or whatever else they think they have, but some things aren't quantifiable. It's a challenging space to talk about.
And you feel like a jackass, right? So, but it's all relative. So you feel like a jackass, you feel like you should just be grateful and be quiet because it's more than others, right?
And it's more than I've ever,
made
especially
in
low
our
income
whole
family.
families.
Yeah.
So it's like, lady, stop it. But at the same time, when those lists come out, when Forbes drops the top paid actresses in television, the top paid actresses in film, and there's no women of color on it, it's like, well, why did you speak up? And you're like, because I felt
like I was just supposed to be
didn't
appreciative
know.
that you gave me something, because we're rarely on TV.
And that feeling carries over in negotiation. And that's why we're not in the top 25 top paid people in front of, behind, like, because we are so conditioned to be grateful
100%
to have not even a seat at the table. We're not even anywhere near the table. We're like near the door, like crammed with the
or
a gang
the window
of people.
just peering in.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be happy for that, and so you're not supposed to buck back. And so in negotiation, you're like, okay, I know what my worth is. I know what I bring to the table. And then sometimes it's your teams that are like, we could go too far and you could lose it altogether. But then it's like, do I want to be a part of a project where they don't really value me? Yeah. And they think I'm interchangeable with
everyone,
any and everyone?
Yeah.
And they don't really see my value, but somehow magically you saw the value in all these other people, and that value comes with a very clear number that is nowhere close to what we're asking for. I'm asking for a crumb compared to what you've actually paid and not gotten a return on. So what are we even really talking about? They will pass you over and give 100%. The money to the next person who's the squeakier wheel.
So where do you learn that, right? So I feel like culturally, for me, either it was cultural or domesticated in my household, even though I was given all these fundamentals of self-worth and confidence and integrity and being good to others and being respectful on set and being a conscious contributor. But I think generationally, in the line of my family, we've always been paid less. We've always settled for less. We've always felt like we've had to fight to show our worth before, versus the other way around. We're gonna tell you you're incredible and you get all this. So, like, how do we break that cycle. And I think about it not just for myself, but for like the generations after me and the young Latinas that I'm supposed to be speaking to.
It's hard and it's terrifying.
It's terrifying. And you just want to work.
And you just want to work.
Just want to work.
But there comes a point where I'm not going to feel good on set if I feel like I am undervalued and my money doesn't match my level of contribution. Because when it comes time to sell this piece of art,
I gotta do that.
You're going to have me prancing around the country and the world like a show pony. But all these other people that don't have to do all the selling work of it
Are making way more.
And I'm not going to get the credit. If it's a win, it's not going to be because of me. And if it's a failure, it's my face.
It's going to be because of me.
It's gonna be because of me. Yes. So you need to pay me either way this goes. Just like everybody else.
I'm taking it. I'm the target. I'm like,
Because also, you know, the executives and the studio people, all the studio heads, all the people who are deciding the budgets and making the decisions are all older white men. They're the ones who live in Bel Air and Beverly Hills in the big houses. They're the ones who are really getting rich off the content. The talent makes a piece, but we feel like it's a lot because it's more than we've ever paid before. You know, if we talk about Grey's Anatomy and who's profited from it, it's Disney, the corporation, the shareholders. I believe talent really has to step up, and we deserve a piece of the profits, of the back end profits, because it is our faces, it is our voices. We are the ones out there selling it. We are the charisma. We are the lore.
We're talking about in success, when everyone else gets paid, can I get paid too? A tiny little fraction.
Yeah.
There is no skin off your nose.
And it's
And they're
very
like,
rare, very rare that they give people profit participation.
They'll pay the caterer before they pay talent.
I've taken less money knowing I'm taking less money than a male co-star because they're telling me this is as much as we're going to give you. Your male co-star is getting more, but if you don't take this deal, another girl will take it. And I've
that's part of
taken
the
it because I'm
problem.
so passionate and because I'm like, well, I want to do this project, and you're basically telling me if I don't take this deal, there's 5 other girls who will take it in a heartbeat. And I don't know what's worse, like not knowing or knowing and still taking the job, because that feels terrible.
Right, and then
We're
not
like-
taking the job when someone
Yeah.
else will take it.
Yeah.
You know?
So what's the right answer?
And it feels terrible. We're like, I've been like, well, I know I'm being creatively fulfilled. I mean, ish, until you have to see these people at work, and then you're like, oh, like all of you. But that's why I'm so happy that like I'm just watching you guys talk in awe, because to see like the bravery of everyone talking about it. Because the other thing too is I was like embarrassed to tell my friends, because I'm like, what if my girlfriends are making as much money as their male co-stars? And I felt like when I was younger, no one was talking about how much money they're making. Like that wasn't something to talk about.
Yeah,
it was
it's
like
unshaped.
it was tacky to talk about.
You brought up another point. There's a big giant pig who owned an independent film company whose name we won't say here. He had houses all over the place, and houses in the Hamptons and houses in the city, and he was making all that money. And actors and actresses on his films were getting paid very, very little because they're gonna get awards. You're gonna get an award.
God forbid we get
It's gonna
both. Like people
creatively
get both.
fulfill
Like you get paid and
You
an
know what?
award.
Creatively fulfilling. Give me my money. You're in this for money. You're in this to make money. As long as they can divert our attention and lure us with the creative carrot. We don't care about a carpet. I don't care about a statue. I care about sending my kids to college. At some point, we have to do a little of that too. If they dangled one of my idols in front of me,
You wanna do it.
Yeah, and it's that's the sort of our weak spot.
Well, and also we're not asking for more. We're asking for equal.
And for people of color, when has an award ever paid off financially later?
Right.
Like they'll be like, oh my God, you won an Oscar or a Golden Globe or an Emmy or whatever it is. We are prepared to offer you, hold on to your horses, 4th lead on a CBS procedure. It doesn't freaking pay off. So I'm like, again, like you said, your awards, like pay me,
Yes.
like pay me.
If we fall for it, then they have an excuse.
Well, and then they say like, if you don't do it, somebody else will. It's hard to navigate that of like, when is it worth it?
We all know who those options are, right? Who the next person on the list. We know them, right? We're in the rooms, right? So earlier this summer, there was a job that I thought, a friend had. Everybody knew that she had that offer, and there was a lowball attempt, and they were like, "Well, we're gonna move on." She's like, "Bet, move on," and they move on to me, but that's my girl. So I was like, "What you turn down?" right?
I did the exact same thing. That's what I'm saying. I did the exact same thing. Go on.
And so I ask for moon, stars, rainbow over top of that. I have no intentions of doing it. I want her to get her money. Like, this is not my job.
Yeah.
So I lose nothing. It was never my job to begin with. But I'm going to make sure she gets paid. So
That's amazing.
after I pass, because of course I'm like, I'm going to ask for the exact same thing she
Yes,
asked for.
yes.
So then we tell the next person, because we know who the next person on the list is, also a friend,
Ask for this.
ask for this. And then the next person, they go down four people.
I love it.
End up paying her more than what she turned down. Because now they're like, but none of us lost a thing. Like,
And that's
if you
what it
want
takes.
someone, the
Yeah.
X person, and we're all in this together, I lose nothing by making sure you get your money.
Yeah.
I don't want a job that I'm only getting because they screwed over the next woman.
Yep.
Keep it like that. I don't want to be on that set. And that's communication.
It's not only communication, it's compassion, it's courage, it's strength. It takes a lot of other things to not be that thirst trap who's like, I don't care, I want it no matter what. I'm not going to call my girls and ask them. So, that takes stepping up to be the best version of yourself and your higher self.
And that's
to be
hard.
able to,
That's
it's
hard.
hard.
That's hard.
But you did it. The fact that it took this long, our representatives really should have been more transparent and more protective. And they aren't, or they weren't, sharing what other girls were being offered. I think that's all changed now. But maybe the good thing that came out of it is that we've taken on that ourselves.
And doesn't it feel good to have the information? Like,
Yes,
that's the thing too, is where
yes.
people don't want to tell you things.
Right.
And I'm always like, I just want the information.
And we've been afraid to ask for basic information. I had no idea, like, I know what, generally speaking, black women in my age range make, right? I have a general idea. But I had no idea what anybody else made. You know what I mean? No clue. And then when we started meeting and talking and organizing, and you start having these conversations as different people are in negotiating, renegotiating. And it's like, wait, I'm sorry, how much? What? You make what? What? You came, like, that number came out your mouth? And they said yes? Shit.
Yep.
Ain't that some, and it would never occur to me to ask for the amount. Like, what? And what kept us at a certain place was the discouragement of talking to each other, much less amongst black actresses, but actresses of color or all actresses.
That's how all these white men have stayed rich for forever, is they got each other's back. And power is power, and I'm gonna keep you right where you are because then you're gonna keep me right where I'm at. And we should be doing the exact same thing with each other. And I think that now what the silver lining of all this craziness is that we've been like, hold up, we've got it culturally wrong. We gotta support each other, sisters.
together.
We got to use our power for power. We've got to like lift each other up.
And we're back. Hello.
It's almost like we're on television.
You cannot center or amplify a voice that is not real and valid in your own personal life.
Wait, break that down a little bit more.
Okay, so say I want to amplify Latinas.
Okay.
But I ain't got nan Latino friend.
Yeah.
Like, I speak for all women of color. Oh no, like in my real life? Oh no, it could be, no. So it is a very hard thing to amplify voices that don't really exist in your life. And if I wasn't interacting daily with and have deep friendships with every marginalized group, I would have a really hard time passing the mic. Because you have a hard time seeing someone's humanity or seeing their perspective. That's hard. And it's also hard to admit, like, damn, I'm part of the problem.
Now we're getting into a conversation about race. I have plenty of white friends who have no black girlfriends, who have no Latina girlfriends. I walked out of my friend's house the other night. She had a political event, and I saw not one person of color at that event, and I turned around and I walked out and I sent her a text, and I said, I love you, but...
And because you have to really be painfully honest that, like, oh shit,
But also,
I'm a
you
part
have
of
to
the problem, and that's okay. But because I can change.
If you don't work with people or where you spend your day, that's a whole nother very valid conversation.
It's the communities we choose to live in, the houses of worship we go to. It's the bars that we frequent. It's the grocery stores. It's our children's school. what we consider a good school. You know what I mean? I had to reevaluate what a good school is for my black children, and that means 40 minutes away. So they're not the chips in the cookie. Like I'm not sending my kid to be a guinea pig or the Rosa Parks every damn day.
Yeah.
Come on, we gotta be honest.
But people who go to those schools who do not have enough color, it's our responsibility to go to the faculty and said there need to be more kids of color. There's 2 kids of color in the kindergarten. That's not acceptable. There are no black teachers. From my perspective, I love my children's school, and I wanted them to go there, and I wanted to make that school better. And I love the challenge of having an ongoing conversation to make this place a better place of learning and to educate them, and pound at that door and pound at that door and pound at that door until I see the change that I want to see, and not stop until I see the change.
And
People
a lot of
willing to do the
uncomfortable
work.
conversations.
Yeah, and
that's
yeah,
Who wants
they're
that?
not
Who wants to be
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable?
They're not uncomfortable for me. I'm not uncomfortable.
I mean,
at
I look
all.
forward to them. They're uncomfortable
Yes.
for whoever I'm having them
Yeah,
with.
that's.
I
I'm not
suppose.
uncomfortable either. That's a bigger hill to climb, and it's more rewarding when I see results and open people's eyes. This day has been incredible, and there's a ton of women in the room, but I don't see enough color, and I didn't see enough color when I walked in the room today. And I had a meeting with a director of another endorsement project that I'm doing. I said, when I show up on set, I would like to see the crew look like the world that I walk around in every day. And I think it's up to all productions to make sure that your crew looks like the world we see. As Caucasian people, it's our job. It's our task, it's our responsibility to make sure that we speak up in every single room we walk into, that this is not okay, and that we can all do better. It's our job, because we've created the problem.
Wow. Yeah. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
It's right.
Seriously.
I would say, in addition to that, personally, as I craft my voice in those spaces where I feel like I can deliver sound rationale as to why a room needs to be more inclusive, because I think I first went through the appreciation and gratitude for being here stage. Like I said, that is very real, at least for me, very, very real. As I get to other spaces where I find the courage to voice my opinion, because I do have a very different lens than Ellen, right? I take it upon myself for the projects I do. So when I realized that the they never included, especially on my set, never included a person of color, the they was never a person of color, I said then in my projects, the they will be. And so I started my company solely because that's the only place I know where I can control. I know I can use my voice where I'm unafraid to say, okay, this is our project, this is what we're doing, and this is what it's gonna be, and this is the culture I'm living in, and this is the way we're treating each other, and this is the way we're treating everyone on set, from the PAs to the top producer, to the money man, to the money woman, to the lead actress. Everyone's treated equally, kindly. And this is a puzzle, we're all pieces, and we don't exist without one another. Because for me, that's the space as of right now that I feel courage to speak up. And until I get more courage, and until I learn how to speak like Ellen does in those spaces, I will make sure my projects have that. Because that's the only thing I know that, then when I sleep at night, I know, all right, I created that space and I made sure that I brought that.
Okay, so
I need a tissue.
We need tissue.
to go back to what Ellen so eloquently said, it wasn't something that was lost on me. I did not have the bravery
For sure.
to say it or call it.
That's
to
why
call
it's
a
our
thing a
job.
thing.
That's why it's
Because
our
there's
job.
a part of me that felt lucky to be here.
100%, girl, 100%.
And I was like, maybe this is something I might talk about later. I might call Gina and be like, it's something we would talk about offline, but not in mixed company. But I just would never point out. I did say something to my own crew, like, oh, I wonder what the photo shoot would have been like if it was a female photographer. Just, curious what that might have looked like, how it was different, because it's about female empowerment and these bad women in TV. I wonder what the shoot would have been like if it was a female photographer. But I'd never would have thought to say it in this space, because I don't want to appear ungrateful and the ungrateful brown person.
And that's why it is my job. That's why I say we bear the burden, because they don't feel comfortable to speak up. And I'm happy to take it on in any room at any time.
But it's hard. It's hard. If you go this route, it's hard. And you run the risk of losing your space.
That.
You know what I mean? Well, I mean,
I don't
her
need a
space is
space.
pretty solid.
I'm
But,
good.
like,
I was gonna say,
I'm
her,
good.
Yeah, her space is solid.
And
But
you know what?
solid.
If that's what I have to sacrifice, if that's what it was, it's the right thing to do. And it's been too long where the right thing is never done.
And that is the truth, you know? And when I created, my production company, I follow in the footsteps of Gina.
Oh, girl, now you make me cry.
No, I mean, like, I came after, like, I didn't even know what to ask. Luckily, we had the same management company, at one point, and they were like, oh, this is what we did for Gina. I was like, okay, bet. 'Cause she blazed a trail, right? It's not enough for me to not just nurture creatives, and get them development deals and get their shows on the air. I need to get you paid, because that is the equity that Hollywood deals in. I need to make sure when they say there's no showrunners of color, there's no writers of color in senior positions, we're just fresh out. When it comes to us and elevating more of us into positions of power, then suddenly you want to tighten the reins and say there's just not enough. And if only there were talented, qualified people. And it's like, it's Hollywood. Who's qualified for what?
Right.
Like,
Seriously,
let's
come
not
on.
let's
Let's
not play
there's
these
a
games.
formula to art.
Stop
Exactly.
it.
Right.
Like,
Something. Yeah.
The Grip is like somebody's cousin. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to sell a global show. The people in front of and behind the cameras need to match the target audience.
This is my favorite. Gina, the Latino community, the Latinx community is risk averse. You already buy things. Why would we cater to you? Latinas are the most loyal consumers. 26% in the box office every single weekend. 1 out of every 4 tickets are bought by a Latinx. And we are already buying them. So there's no reason to cater to us. I said, oh, right, that's called integrity. If only the community, the audience knew their power. That's what I pray for. Grey's Anatomy was
Love Grey's.
the most inclusive looking cast in that
sure,
time.
For sure.
I was like, oh my
Yes.
God, a black doctor. Yes, my sister's
Yes.
a doctor. I was like, thank you. Okay.
Yes. Live your life in the correct way. And if you give a shit, if you care, you will change the people in your life.
And what a more rich existence. What a more rich existence to be just like culturally open, to see other people's perspective is enriching to yourself. Having to hit a mandate or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just so much more enriching to be like, that's a perspective I don't know, but guess what I do now? Because I watched my girl go through it and live it, and now I know so much more.
It is hard to make new friends and change your lifestyle and open up, especially people who are more in the public eye. You're more guarded and closed off, and that becomes maybe a bigger challenge sometimes. You got to actively go out and with a purpose. Try to make your circle bigger. Try to make your circle look different.
Be
Try to make your
open.
circle
Be open
more
and be
inclusive.
kind.
Even if it's work.
Yeah.
Especially
Especially
it's
if
work
it's work.
worth doing. Yeah, especially if it's work. You're right.